All right, so now that we are successfully logged in, we can come here and we can see our players. So we can create one. So our game has a little bit of an issue that we need to improve. And also there's one limitation on the Dev Titan side that is something that I still have to implement, which is basically the ability for you to create multiple characters. At the moment, the whole system only supports one player. But ideally, we want to make so one player can have multiple characters and so on and so forth. But right now, we don't need to worry about that because we can just create as as a one player. So we just need to change these slots here. Right, so to work around this limitation, we can do a couple of things. So the first one we need to do is that when we create a new player list, so you're just gonna find the references here. I think I have a RPG list. There we go. Usually, so we have the save list. So we create this RPG list. This is the whole list. Yeah. And we have, so we check if it's male or female, and then things kind of happen. So let me just go back here again to the main. I'm just gonna need to try to re-understand. So where do we load this? So I have 1, 2, 3. There you go. Max character amount. Perfect. We're just gonna add 1 for now. Okay. Let's just work for 1, just so we can get kind of around the limitation. Yeah. So now when I press login, I should only see 1 character. That's perfect. Now, when we create this, I'm gonna save this on the backend, right? So when I hit this button create, I need to set the hair color, all this stuff, the gender, haircut in there. So when we are on that page, we can actually reload that information like we're doing locally, but now it's just using the server. So this now can be done on this page, right? And the first thing I'm gonna do here on that page is basically, so you do have the game instance, which is fine. We can kind of use this later on. But what I can do is logged in. I am gonna check a theory that I have here, which is basically I want to check if I am logged in between scenes. It should be, but let's just double check. So if it's not, we will need to carry over the player UID, but that's fine. So we're gonna log in here, so that's fine. Logs in. There you go. So I'm logged in, which is perfect. Exactly what I'm looking for. So I don't need to worry about that right now. Nice. So now when I press, where's the save button? Submit, which is this one. This is where it can be empty. This is where we're like saving all that information. So we get the save object, save game, false, open up. When the player tried to create a character. Yeah. So you set the player name. So as you can see here, everything is being set on the save game. Okay. Now we could kind of use the save game to do all that logic for us, right? So what we could do here, I think I'm just gonna do here when we press save, to be honest. So it's easy to read that message from here. I'm gonna keep the async save logic, but what I'm gonna do here is just something simpler. Before this happen, right? Before all that logic happen, I'm gonna get my save here, and I'm gonna get, let's say, I think we have facial hair. So I'm just gonna get all that data. Foot, get gender, get hair. So I'm gonna add all this logic here. Can get, so you get the facial hair, the foot, gender. We got a hair, we got a hand, perfect. Get head, and we need to get, let's say, oh no, but this is just the default. Oh my gosh, sorry. I think what we need to do here is better. We just need the, so we just need the color. So we need a color, and we need a secondary color, the facial, the skin, and then the gender. Maybe the hair. Let me switch gender, the color, hair select. Yeah, just all we need here. Okay. So let's just do in order here. So we're gonna get the save game object, and we're gonna get gender. Perfect. Now we're gonna get color skin, then we can get facial color, get secondary color, right? Then the next thing we can do is the hair. This hair is what? Is that the mesh? What it is? This is the mesh. That's fine. We can improve. We can get like get the hair. This one, and then we can kind of do like to string, and then after we can just get the object based on the name. That's fine. This is to rotate. We don't really care about that. And here we get color hair. Get color of the hair. Nice. And then the last one we need to do is get player name. This is all we kind of need to save, right? Realistically. What I recommend doing is that when we get in the hair, we can save as a integer. It's much simpler than actually save as this one. So for example, we can get, I think it's when we change the hair, we get the current index, current hair index. So it does the hair length, and then it sets the skeletal mesh. So what we're going to do here, guys, instead of saving the object, is always best to save the ID, which is in this case is the hair index. So when we load less data. Nice. Now to save this on our system, right? When we submit this, I'm still going to keep that because it's an important logic. But now we're going to do a save game. And we should see on, I think it's called quick save. Yeah. So here we have the data and then the slot that we want to save, right? So in this case, the slot's going to be the index. So if you guys go to the documentation, we have here cloud saves. So in this example, we have, I think is that remote server utilities. So I do have like a event that saves to slot, this one. So we can put the slot and then the data and then the callback, right? So we're gonna have to basically create a slot here. So the slot could be, let's say, just slot 01, right? And then we have to save the data. So we need to make this data up. And luckily, we have this thing called JSON, right, on the dev realm, that we can kind of make an empty JSON, right? We also have the option to add, this is not in the documentation, by the way, it's just something that I recently added, but we can set JSON as, let's say, values. So I know for a fact that we need to kind of make an object, right? So what we can do is that we can convert string to JSON. So I'm going to do something like that. Okay. And then what I can actually do is that I can just add a value, right? We can just do a plus, add. And I think this is an array of strings. Make array, right? And here we can actually add like a bunch of arrays. So on that example, right, we can make something like, for example, string to array. I think we just need to make it like, I'm just do this back JSON, and we can set, let's say, let's just do a string. So what we can do here is we can set the gender. So let's just gonna replace this, and we can add it like that. So I'm gonna do that. Perfect. So now we can do the key. So this is gonna be gender, and then the value is gonna be to string, for example, right? So let's just try with this one and see what happens. So I'm gonna create a custom event. I'm not gonna add a name because I'm not sure if this is gonna be the final output. And then I'm gonna do a print, and here we're gonna have the, let's say, success. Let's just have a look. So if I press play, I can basically add here, let's say that, and I'm gonna do a test 1, 2, 3 and login. Perfect. Now I'm gonna add the name and press create, and let's see what happened. True. So that created the user. Now I think this is one of the things as well I need to double check, but we do have the saves that is supposed to be saving here, but I don't think the user has the visibility of the saves. So, but that's fine, because what we can do here on the player, let me double check, configuration quests. Yeah, well, we need to basically add that for us later on. But now what happened is that we have the access to the data. So what I can do here is I can check the data, right? This is just gonna give me like a plain version of it. So what I can go is I can add a password, right? So test 1, 2, 3, login, and I don't have the user. I haven't created that yet. But when I press create, look at the data: gender, male, right? So what you can do is that you can add multiple keys, and that's the secret. Is just you keep adding keys to your character. So we're gonna add this key, and then we're gonna add another key, and then we can keep adding keys. So I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna do all this for us, and then once everything is done, I resume them. All right, guys. So what I did here is that I created now this string to array to JSON, right? I created a make array, and then I did the gender first. So I created this key gender. Then I did for the color of skin, right? And what I did is just that from the color, you just break to slate color, and then you do like to string, and then you get this little node here. So I just did this for all of the colors, so we save as a string. So I did all the facial, the secondary, color of the hair, so just check all of them. Then the hair index, so I just literally drag and drop this one here, and then the name, I just literally drag from that as well. All right. From here, what I done is that I saved to the slot 1 because I only have one slot, and now we can check what's going on by just doing a print, and we can actually do something like that. We get the data, compile and save. Now what happened is that we can just try to log in again. So I'm just gonna get a user email, user test, press login. Perfect. Go. I'm gonna type Mario, get like a crazy colors, And then let's just press create and see. So you see, female, like we do get all that data, which is kind of what we're looking for. Nice. Now from here, it's a little bit tricky, but what I recommend is that we set up this. Actually, we can do it together. That's something we can actually do it together. What I like to do is, for those cases when you're working with this kind of data, let's just go back here to, we don't have like a global function. I'm just going to create here something called global. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to functions. I'm going to create here a blueprint class. And the one we're looking for is, I'm just going to blueprint macro blueprint function library. So I'm going to call this bp-gl, which means global, save name slots. I'm going to explain what I'm going to do here. So the problem is that eventually you will forget what each key is. So in order to make this a little bit more generic, we can do something like gl gender save game key. And then all you do is that you return this, and then you're gonna basically add output. It's gonna be a string. And this looks very, let's say, silly at first, but we're gonna explain what's gonna be. So save key. This is always gonna be save key. Make sure you click on this. You click pure, and now look at the magic. What we can actually do is we can come here. We can get this and just paste it right there. So in this way, we don't need to worry about remembering the name. We can just always reuse. And this is going to be useful for when we're trying to decode this. So I'm going to do this on the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments if this is useful for you. And then we're going to carry on with this.